Welcome to the College Football Prediction Roundtable, presented here on the Bleacher Report app, where we give you our predictions of some of the top games and some of our decisions around the spread so that you degenerates can have a good time out there in them streets. I'm one of your hosts, Jay from Unfair Sports. We've got Steven from Fan Perspective. We've got Ty from Around the Table Sports and Nino from Nino's Corner. Gentlemen, it is Friday. It is football coming up. I know you're excited. How do we feel today?
Jay, we feel amazing, man. Big games coming up. I can't wait to both you and Ty front and center this weekend with a few other big SEC games. Man, can't wait to get into it.
I agree. All right. We got a fun slate for you all. We got about 15 games ahead of us with some spreads, some good matchups. It's a good week. It's a good week in college football. So make sure that you all get locked in and let's begin riding. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the games. We'll look at the standings at the end of the video. We'll see who's been cheating and who's been cheated. And we'll determine who's going to probably win this one. So let's jump into the first game of the week. We've got Virginia Tech taking on Miami, an ACC matchup. Y'all, Miami is a 17-point favorite in this game. My goodness. Look, I'm going to jump in quickly so I can pass this off because I'm ready to hear what Steven and everybody else got to say. Ty, Nino. But Virginia Tech was coming in this season as one of the most experienced teams in college football. They were returning dang near everybody on both sides of the ball. But they're 2-2. Like, everything about them has been a quote-unquote disappointment. Didn't they lose to Vanderbilt? It's not one team you're supposed to lose to. But hey, what else? Miami has been balling. I'm rolling with the Canes. Look, Cam Ward always start the seasons off hot. Right now, he's got 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's balling. And I don't care about nobody else besides the fact that Cam Ward is balling. So I've got about 2.5 weeks left before he starts his traditional decline. I'm going to keep riding that ride. Steven, what you got?
So another fun Friday night game. Last week we had Illinois, Nebraska, which was really fun. This week we have Virginia Tech going to Miami. As you said, Virginia Tech has been a disappointment, but to be fair, that Vanderbilt loss hasn't aged extremely poorly. We do like what Vanderbilt has shown us this year. With that being said, Cam Ward and this offensive crew, this entire Miami crew of talent is so good that we haven't talked about Mario Cristobal head coaching stuff because he's like that AAU coach that can't even screw it up because he's got such a deep roster. You know, like that's what he's assembled. That's the way out for Miami. They hit it in the portal with so many different guys. I told you guys last week against South Florida, you know, Damian Martinez would factor into that. He did. Cam Ward is now not just playing for Heisman frontrunner status, but also solidifying himself as a number one pick, or a top pick in the draft, right? So all of these things are at stake for him. Their offensive line has been terrific. I think they have no issue with Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has several different athletes, but they're undisciplined. They haven't played good ball together as a team. Give me Miami, and I think Miami actually is able to cover this spread at home tonight.
Ty, who you got?
Yeah, listen, Steven's too humble to do it, so I'll go ahead and give him his props. Last Friday's game was great. Shout out to you for being the only one on the panel to call the game correctly. That was a great call, and the reasons you gave were exactly the X factors. So that was a fantastic call last week. But then that leads me into this week, and I completely agree with you this week. Thankfully, I should have agreed with you last week. I texted you afterwards saying that I darn near changed my argument on the spot because of your analysis, because I was like, man's making some great points. But let's look at this game, gentlemen. We talk about Virginia Tech, how experienced they were, but it just hasn't come to fruition yet. I'm really interested if Miami covers this spread. I have Miami winning the game. Vanderbilt's better than people give them credit for. But I think a lot of that has to do with a quarterback in Diego Pavia that is a straight menace. Like, that dude's a fighter. That dude wants to scrap in every way he can. He just wants to go get it out the mud. Cam Ward is better than Diego Pavia. right? Like he just is better. He's having a great season. I don't know the keys to victory for Virginia Tech, given what we've seen, other than trying to use this game as a quote unquote get right game. And even then, give me Miami.
Nino.
All right, man. So Ty said keys to victory. Ty, there are no keys to victory for Vitek to win this game. This is Miami all day long, man. This is Miami all day long, man. Second ranked offense here in the country, man, averaging about 8.8 yards per play. Cam Ward is a Heisman front runner right now. Like as he should be. I got Miami winning this game. I got them covering this game too as well. I just think that they're just too explosive for Vitek.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Let's fly through. We've got Kentucky Wildcats traveling down to the SIP to see Ole Miss. Right now, Ole Miss is a 16-point favorite. The spread has dropped a little bit with a total of 52.5. Look, I'm going to be honest. I kind of tossed and turned on this one. This was the last game I picked, mainly because what Kentucky did against Georgia, fighting the way they did, I was like, okay, Kentucky has something in them. But then I kept thinking that, but will they revert back to Kentucky like they always do after Georgia? Like that's the one game they get up for. Then they always go back down. Then they go up. Then they go down. I struggled mightily in this game. Jackson Dart's having a season, 1,500 yards passing so far, 12 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's balling out in that Lane Kiffin system. And plus he's been in it. This is his third year in there. So he should be at this point. I'm going to ride with Ole Miss. I think the Rebels are going to go ahead and win this game. And honestly, I think they cover the spread. Brock Vandegrift has yet to show me that he's capable of actually doing something at quarterback for this team right now. It's the weirdest and darndest thing that I've ever seen. But I have no belief in him right now, even though the Kentucky defense has shown up. Offense keeps failing him. I think that Ole Miss takes this bad boy. Steven, who you got?
So everything I just said regarding Cam Ward in Miami, rinse and repeat for Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. The only difference is Ole Miss, somebody in the comments just said Miami hasn't been tested. Ole Miss, I mean, they've had really the ideal non-conference schedule to start this thing, right? And to be fair to them, they have gone, they've looked fantastic. Right? They've looked as good as you possibly could look considering the competition. Kentucky will present some issues, especially on the defensive line at the line of scrimmage. And I do think that Ole Miss will be tested in this game in terms of staying on time, staying on script, on early downs. One of the keys that was a disruptor for Ole Miss last year was first downs and getting them into 3 and out and getting them out of rhythm. So I'm really, really curious to see what Mark Stoops and that crew dials up. And if Brock Vandegrift can manufacture anything, they have some weapons. I mean, Dane Key is still there, Baron Brown, those guys, they can manufacture anything to put some points on the board. I think Kentucky will be competitive in this game, but Ole Miss is going to pass the test. They know what's ahead of them. They know the opportunity that they have. I think Jackson Dart, right, again, another guy that's a Heisman guy, trying to show the world that he can also be an NFL prospect. Give me Ole Miss here. But I think this game, other than outside the Miami Virginia Tech game, I think this game is actually going to be very competitive.
Ty, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going to pick up right where Steven left off to address someone in the comments who said Miami hasn't been tested. I don't 100% disagree, but Ole Miss hasn't played a Power 5 opponent yet, or Power 4, excuse me, the Pac-12. We're still in the middle of our wake for that. Ole Miss hasn't been tested. Now, that's not to say that they aren't a really good team. They absolutely are. The defense is much improved. They did phenomenal work in the transfer portal. I mean, getting some of those additions. Amos from Alabama. You got Walter Nolan on the defensive front. But, gentlemen, whenever, and there's a bunch of new SEC faces in the room with me. I'm the one older SEC face in the room. And one of the things that SEC fans would always get a little bit of flack for is it's like, okay, well, is the SEC really that good? Kentucky is one of those teams that I always give you and say, it's not that I'm saying you're going to lose to Kentucky, but Kentucky is going to punch you in the mouth over and over and over. Like they just want to be physical. That's all they care about. This is going to be Ole Miss's first test. I have them passing the test. Because, gentlemen, it's one of those things where if Ole Miss gets 17 points, do I think Kentucky is then going to be able to score with them? No, I don't. But, yeah, great test for Ole Miss. Kentucky, they just like to punch.
All right, Nino, wrap us up. Are we getting a clean sweep?
Yeah, man, clean sweep, come fade us, people. Look, man, I like Ole Miss in this game. I love Ole Miss in this game. But look, man, Kentucky is the top 10 defense here in the country. They're a really good defense. So this will be the first test for Lane Kiffin. How can Kentucky win this game? The only way that they can win this game is if they pass the ball. All right. So Lane Kiffin's defense, man, they've allowed 9 passing touchdowns this year, tied 4th worst in all of college football. They've also allowed 17 passes of 15 yards or more, which is 4th worst in the SEC right now. But Kentucky can't pass the ball, so I like Ole Miss pulling this game away, 3rd quarter. I don't have them covering this game, but they will win this game.
All right, next game, an item up for bid. We're looking at Minnesota traveling to play in Ann Arbor against Michigan. Now, Michigan opened up as a 10.5-point favorite. I'm going to be honest in this one. I'm just going to be quick, too. Give me Michigan. Minnesota lost to Iowa 31-14. I'm just going to say that. Give me Michigan. Steven?
Yeah. Also, shout out to you, Jay, for that Michigan call last week against USC and the reasons why, despite the fact that Alex Orji threw for, 31 yards? And I think half of that came on the – I think the half of that came on the drag route at the end of the game. So, shout out to you for hitting on that one. You know your boy Lincoln real well, and he delivered. In regards to Michigan and Minnesota, I don't think PJ Fleck's going to be rowing that boat this weekend. The Iowa. So going back to the Iowa game, McNamara, if I'm not mistaken, threw for 65 yards last week. So this is the same type of scenario. Iowa has Caleb Johnson, who's probably the most underrated player in the country right now, and a dark horse Heisman candidate. He is having a monster season at running back for Iowa. If you have not checked out number 2 running the rock, Michigan can run Michigan got right last week running the rock. Mullings was the guy. Everybody's been talking about Donovan Edwards, but Mullings been the guy. I thought the Michigan defensive line finally showed me what I've been looking for, this season. So give me Michigan here. I think this is going to be a classic Midwestern, not snooze fest, but just straight phone booth football. You know what it is. But I think Michigan prevails off that momentum they got from the USC win last week.
And you're right. Cade McNamara threw 62 yards on 11 of 19 passing. Wow. Ty, what you got? Are you muted, Ty?
This might be a game where I think both quarterbacks could combine for under 100 yards. Right? And that in the year of our Lord 2024 would just be an anomaly. So I'm going to take Michigan in this game. When we look at Minnesota's run defense, they're not a top 50 run defense in the nation, and they haven't played a team. I mean, they played Iowa, you're right, and they weren't super successful in stopping the run then. Mullins is really having a great season. I expect Michigan to be able to win in ugly fashion. Great call last week, Jay. It frustrates me to no end that as USC, you know what's coming. You don't have to guess what's coming, and you can't stop it. Whenever he broke that 60-something yard run to end the game in the 4th quarter, I threw a remote, but we're not going to talk about that. Give me Michigan in this game.
Look, man, sometimes you just line up and just push them around. I knew what was going to happen. Nino, who you got?
Hey, man, first off, I got to talk about a comment here, man. So Mr. Reed, 11, I think, you are right. I had my notes written wrong. I was reading from another. Yes, Ole Miss has only allowed 1 passing touchdown, not the 7 that I said. But they have allowed 17 passes of 15 yards or more in the SEC, which is tied 4th worst here in the conference, just right above Oklahoma. Sorry, Jay. But, yeah, Michigan is like an Iowa on steroids. Right. I'm going to say that Iowa rushed for 272 yards last week against Minnesota. I look for Michigan just to do the same thing. Alex Orji is a beast when it comes to running the ball, man. So give me Michigan in this game, and I like them just to do very, very well in this game. I look for them to rush about 300 yards this game.
Ooh, goodness, that's a crazy one. All right, let's go to the next game, which is probably the mid-fest of the week. We've got Oklahoma traveling over to Auburn, Alabama to play the Tigers. Opened up Oklahoma -3. Auburn now is a 1-point favorite in this game. You may be asking why. Well, Oklahoma's down all 5 starting wide receivers. Yes, I am in pain. I am hurting. And all of the guys have given me crap, as they always do, but I appreciate them because they truly do know ball. So I know it's all love. Well, Oklahoma comes in as one of the better defenses in the country, 10th in efficiency. They have caused some of the most turnovers, leading the country, causing 8 fumbles. Auburn has turned the ball over 14 times. Oklahoma's taken the ball away 12 times. So, and they're going to play either Thorne or Hank Brown. We have no clue. It's going to be one of the two. Right now, Thorne has been doing the number ones. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm going to still ride with Oklahoma, though, mainly because Auburn likes to give the ball away, and Oklahoma likes to take it. So why not just keep taking the gifts? They are providing it to you. Michael Hawkins, a true freshman, is going to be playing quarterback. He's going to be throwing to the guys that he's been throwing to in practice this entire time. So hopefully that's the silver lining. Plus the line looks a little bit healthier. Guys are coming off of the injured report. So I think Oklahoma wins this game in the biggest mid-fest of the week. It's going to be very low scoring. And of course, that means Oklahoma covers the spread. Steven, yes, I will dog on my own team because I'm a realist. I'm not just a ridiculous homer. Steven, what you got?
We appreciate your honesty, Jay. That's why we love having you on here as our gracious host. Now, folks, Jay brought up the turnovers. Auburn in 2 losses at Jordan-Hare, by the way. In those 2 losses, 9 turnovers happened. They had 4 against Cal. They had 5 last week against Arkansas. So here's the thing, though. You would think in those 2 games, if you turn the ball over that much, you would get blown out of the water. What's interesting is the Arkansas game, it's only 24-14. Cal, they lost by a score. That defense for Auburn is very underrated. They are getting very, very good edge play, actually in their front 7. So they are some of the highest graded edges according to Pro Football Focus. Guys like Jalen McLeod, who, the transfer, who is playing extremely good football. So they've been put in some really, really just horrible positions, but they're complementing their offense as much as they can. What's also interesting about Auburn is when they aren't turning the ball over offensively, they're actually fine. So I'm looking at this in terms of Michael Hawkins Jr. and OU, and what they don't have. How's OU going to manufacture points against a really good Auburn defense? We've talked a lot about OU's defense, and OU 100% is going to come in this game looking to turn the rock over. That's going to be the area of focus. Jay is absolutely right. But if Auburn's able to just keep it down, I mean, last week they had a kid running into the end zone who fumbled as he was about to score a touchdown. If they can get rid of the goofiness, I think Auburn wins this football game. And I say think because it's by a hair, because this OU defense is really, really good. But give me Auburn here, because I cannot see Hugh Freeze losing 3 home games in the month of September. That would be outrageous. So give me Auburn here. I think that they figure out a way to hold on to the football enough. I think they don't turn it over more than twice, and they win the game just off of, some 12-10 type stuff. Go ahead, Ty. Ty, I know.
Ty's ready.
I already see Ty's face.
Ready.
Ty's face Ty's like, what are you doing?
Your faith in Auburn not being a joke this year is amazing. Ty, what you got?
I can't argue with a lot of what you said, right? No doubt about it. Auburn's front 7 has played really good football. And the way that you attack Auburn is that secondary. They're just young. I'm not saying that they don't have talent. They're just very young. They're very inexperienced. Unfortunately, they took a bad injury. Unfortunately for Oklahoma, you haven't shown the ability to throw the ball downfield to attack a secondary. But here's the thing. Steven, you said Auburn has to get rid of the goofiness. That's Auburn football, baby. Like, they are nothing without the goofiness. So that's not going anywhere. And if you really want to be technical, Hugh Freeze is goofy. Right? I'm not going to go, if you know, you know. I'm going to spare them all why right now. Right? I'm not going to make that call. Hugh's already made enough of those calls. But until then, Hugh Freeze has got to get this offense together. They can't sustain anything. I know that he said that they would have beaten Arkansas 9 out of 9 times if they played 9 more times. No, you wouldn't have. You'd have been lucky to win 4 of them because you can't get an offense together. You didn't want to go in the transfer portal to get a quarterback because you're all-knowing. That's working out very great. Thank you, Hugh. I think that Oklahoma can win this game because last week, Auburn showed no signs of being able to stop a mobile quarterback. Whenever Arkansas needed plays, they were able to rely on the mobility of the quarterback. Hawkins is going to be able to be a mobile quarterback. And then when I look at this Oklahoma defense, I know Auburn's good for a few turnovers. And this is an incredibly opportunistic defense. Auburn has not faced a defense this good yet. Give me Oklahoma. And the last thing I'll say, something that as a Bama fan, it just kills me. Jordan Hare for Bama and Georgia is like playing the 85 Bears. You walk into Jordan Hare, I don't care how bad Auburn is, they play Alabama and Georgia in that stadium unlike anything else. For everybody else, it's the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. And I can't figure out why. But I think Oklahoma is going to be able to take advantage.
Nino, what you got?
Ty over here spitting bars, man. Hey, man, look, I know Oklahoma is down 5 wide receivers. But Auburn, I just don't trust you. I don't trust you, Auburn, at all. And anybody who's on this panel, we have plenty of podcasts together, right? You know, like throughout the week and throughout the summer and throughout the fall. And I've been so high on Auburn, and Ty has been whipping me back into shape every week to get off the Auburn train. I've been saying Hugh Freeze is going to get it together. This is year 2. He's done great things at Ole Miss. He's done great things at Liberty. He's at Auburn. He has better talent. It's in a better conference. He has better players all the way around. And then Peyton Thorne comes. And I said, Peyton Thorne's going to be the guy that's going to be the glue prior to him getting that big 5-star guy to come in. And we've seen the Peyton Thorne show now for 2 years. Well, not for 2 years, for a year and 4 games. And you know, it's enough. Okay. It's enough. I have no trust in Freeze. I've been 10 toes down for you, Freeze. You've let me down. This year, you gave me Cal. This year, you gave me Arkansas. Last year, you gave me New Mexico State. I got Oklahoma winning this game, man. They're going to win this game, I don't know, 9-3, 9-6. It's going to be something horrible, but they're going to win the game. OU's defense is really good, especially that, just stopping the run. And also, OU's quarterback, there's no film on him. So it's the fear of the unknown right now. You got a half a game of film. So look, I want all the film on him because you get that bye week and then Texas plays him. So go ahead and run him out there, get all the film on him. I need my boys to get some film on him, but I got Oklahoma winning this game.
I have a quick question for Jay.
These next one. Yes, go ahead.
I got a quick question for you. Do you play? Why wouldn't you play Jackson Arnold in some packages to still have some running game here, and keep him engaged?
I mean, to be honest, I don't think that's a bad idea. But at the same time, we've seen that his mentals doesn't seem to be there this season. He just hasn't made the mental decisions that we thought. It seems like it's like night and day since the Arizona game. And I'm wondering if he's afraid of continuing making mistakes. And so you may see some of him just to keep, like you said, keep him engaged. But I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. All right, next game. Let's dive into and let's power through some of these. We've got the next one. Louisville, Notre Dame. Louisville traveling up there to Notre Dame. And Notre Dame's a 7-point favorite in this one. Look, anytime I see Notre Dame as a favorite in a game at home when I don't think they should be a favorite, that tells me to immediately take Notre Dame. I'm going to take the Fighting Irish. Look, Louisville has been killing it. I was mulling this game just like I was the Texas A&M one. And Notre Dame came through and showed out. Tyler Shaw's actually having a solid season, 85, 850 yards, 8 touchdowns. Not too bad. Riley Leonard has not been as impressive as I hoped, but shoot, they're a 7-point favorite at home, and the line's gone up from 4.5. Give me Notre Dame. There's something brewing here that I'm not seeing, and I don't know what it is. Steven, what you got?
So this is interesting because Coach Brom, he really took it to Notre Dame last year. He also took it to Riley Leonard last year at Duke. So both of them are trying to get it back in blood. This is on Notre Dame soil. Tyler Shuck is playing the best football of his career so far. And Louisville really impressed me last week against Georgia Tech. They've just been consistent. And I've really impressed with what Louisville's done. And I know that they're going to have some stuff to attack Notre Dame's defense, which has been really good. But I don't know if they've been all world like they looked that night against A&M. If that Notre Dame defense comes out, the one we saw against A&M, where they were just running these trap coverages and really, really creative, then I think Louisville's in trouble. I don't trust Riley Leonard. I'm sorry. I don't. And give me Louisville here in the upset at Notre Dame to beat them 2 years in a row. At some point, you got to put points on the board. And Riley Leonard is missing throws to the flat. They're really creating. They've been scheming up easy stuff for him, and he just hasn't been hitting it. Now, if he all of a sudden comes alive, then look out. And maybe that's what people are banking on. But I haven't seen it. I think Louisville's been a better team. They've been more consistent. And I think Tyler Shuck is, if he's able to just stay upright and healthy, he hasn't turned the ball over yet this year. I like Louisville here in the upset.
All right, Ty, what you got?
I don't have much to add. Steven, I think you hit the nail on the head. Give me Louisville. They have put hands on not only Riley Leonard, but Notre Dame last year. I think they're very well coached. And the only thing I will add to this is just continuing what Steven said. Riley Leonard is almost like Devin Leary for us a year ago, where we thought Devin Leary was going to be a guy that goes to his new team and really takes them to another level. I think that, at least me, I thought that could be Riley Leonard. He hasn't been. He's got 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions. Ja'Cory Brooks, ladies and gentlemen, is having himself a year. I love to see it. Give me Louisville for this win.
Nino, wrap us up.
Man, I wanted to pick Louisville so bad for this game. But every time I looked at it to pick Louisville, I was like, you know what? I think Notre Dame's going to win this game. I don't know why, but it just got something. Like, is the real Riley Leonard going to stand up one day? So we've been talking about this for the entire season. I thought him going over to Notre Dame is going to be outstanding for them. It hasn't been so far. He hasn't passed the ball, worth a damn. But for some reason, I just got a feeling that Notre Dame's going to pull this off, and I don't know why. I have no idea why, folks. I'm going off of just a feeling in my heart.
Love it.
Bless his soul.
All right.
Baby, bless his soul. I got Notre Dame in this game. It's going to be close.
All right. Let's fly through some spreads. First spread of the day. Y'all have been asking for. We're going to give you some spreads. We've got Arkansas taking on Texas A&M. Right now, the Aggies are 5.5-point favorites at the crib. Now, Arkansas, for some reason,
Jay, it's neutral.
Dirty again. Is it neutral? No, it's in Dallas. But it's the Dallas game. Yeah. That's my bad. It's not a Cal Field. Yes, I always forget that they play in Dallas every year at Jerry Circus. I love that. Mm-hmm. Yes, at the big old AT&T. Big board and everything. 5.5-point favorites at a neutral site. Kind of surprising for your boy. I'm going to Arkansas to cover the spread on this one. I just think that when Green needs to make something happen, he finds a way to make things happen. And overall, Arkansas has been pretty solid in a run. And Texas A&M lost to Notre Dame. So I'm still just kind of like baffled in the way that they're playing ball right now. But hey, they got Reed out there at quarterback who might be dangerous going forward. But I don't think this is the game where he's the most dangerous. Give me Arkansas to cover. Steven?
This game has been really fun over the years. Now, A&M has dominated in terms of the win column over the last 12 some odd years after they moved this game to Jerry World. Arkansas started off strong, and then A&M ran off a whole bunch of games in a row, and then Arkansas has only won maybe 1 or 2 over the last few years. So this Arkansas team, though, with Sam Pittman coming in, getting a big win at Auburn, Taylon Green and Jaquindon Jackson are a heck of a backfield. I like Lucas Haas at tight end. Armstrong has been a very underrated receiving threat. He's actually having a really good season, 6'4". I believe he's from Dallas, Texas as well, so it's a homecoming for him. This is going to be a really, really fun matchup with the 2 dual threat quarterbacks. And like I said, this game, folks, if you've paid attention to any Arkansas A&M rivalry games at Jerry World, they are craziness. The 99-yard fumble with off of Jefferson a few years ago, right? Like all sorts of craziness. I like Arkansas to cover though, and potentially win outright. I might even consider Arkansas money line here, because A&M to me has not solved the bust that they've had for an Elko defense. They have some weird coverage busts. They have some weird run fits. And then the next series, they look dominant again. So because of that, give me Arkansas here to at least cover. I think you could actually consider money line here as well.
Ooh, Ty, who you got?
No, I love everything he said. I was debating whether I was going to go Arkansas cover or Arkansas money line, and I'm going to tell you why. I really like the new Texas A&M quarterback, Reed. I think that he is a promising young talent. I love what the offense is able to do with him. I think it's more conducive to success for their offensive coordinator, this style of quarterback, as opposed to Weigman. So I absolutely think they're going to be able to build something. But as much as I said I wasn't going to let Arkansas hurt me again this year, here I am, ready to be hurt. Arkansas has been playing some good football when the coaches don't get in the way. Against Oklahoma State, it was some of the worst clock management I have ever seen. But Jaquindon Jackson, monster. Green, he's one of those guys where you get Arkansas into 3rd and 7, you don't feel great because you know he can take off on you and be the difference. Give me Arkansas to cover this game. Really looking forward to this one.
Nino, wrap us up.
Hey, man, Arkansas is going to cover, and I might take the money line as well, man. Look, when Texas A&M got beat by Notre Dame, fade us, man. Hey, look, when Texas A&M got beat by Notre Dame, Riley Leonard used his legs extremely well that game. I think Taylor Green's a much better runner than he, and so I just got a feeling that Arkansas is going to pull this thing close. So Texas A&M, what's this? Hey, Jay, so Texas A&M is favored by what? 4.5? 5.5? Yeah, man. Hey, man, Arkansas got this game. And honestly, I think they might actually win this game.
Ooh. All right, next game. Let's fly through it. We got Texas at the crib hosting Mississippi State. So Jeff Lebby's first road game down in DKR. The Longhorns are a 37.5-point favorite with a total of 61.5. Look, I'm actually surprised that Mississippi State is as bad as they are, and I'm going to tell y'all why really quickly. This was a roster built, for and by the late Mike Leach. Lebby is kind of in the same tree under the people that he's learned under tutelage of that air raid. I would have thought this would have all kind of worked no, not at all. So I think Texas wins this game. I don't think Texas actually covers the spread, though. I think Mississippi State comes in physical enough, but I think Texas wins by 35 and just misses the spread because they don't want to do too much due to dealing with, not wanting to deal with the SEC team. So give me Texas to win this game, but I don't think they cover. I think they just missed the spread just because they just want to take their foot off the gas and relax. Steven, I'm going to give it to Texas people. I want to hear from y'all.
Who's playing quarterback on Saturday? Who's starting this football game? I think that's also going to be, very interesting. This is Texas's first SEC game. And, for the people a few years ago that thought that Arch Manning would be the one to lead Texas into the SEC on their debut, you actually might be right, depending on what Steve Sarkisian decides to do with one Quinn Ewers if he decides to rest him, knowing there's a bye week after this. I do think Texas covers regardless. Mississippi State they have not intercepted a pass this year. They are dead. They are in the 113th and 120s and 130s in pretty much every defensive category. They're defensively, they are atrocious. And now you got guys, losing their starting quarterback in Blake Shapen is a huge deal offensively, because I did like what they were doing with their receivers when they were trying to keep up with Florida in terms of a shootout. Florida last week, you talk about Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning. Florida last week completed 93% of their passes, which was a freaking Florida record. When you think about Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier and all the people they've had there, give me Texas to cover this just off of Mississippi State just not having much to work with.
That's a very fair point. Ty, who you got?
This isn't going to take long.
Yeah.
No. I'm trying to figure out what to say. I'm going to, give Nino most of my time. Texas is going to win. They're going to win in any way they want to win. And I will say this before I pass it to Nino. I think one of the big questions I, in particular, had for Texas is, okay, I like the depth you had at interior defensive line. You lost 2 monsters last year. I like what you have. What's the fall off going to be? And y'all played very well in that area. And it's something to where I think a lot of people expected the Texas defensive front to really start shoring up week 4, week 5, as those guys got more experience. They've been ready to go since week 1. The edge play has been much better than last year. Great work in the transfer portal. Great work scouting Colin Simmons from Duncanville. Unbelievable freshman campaign he's having. Texas is going to do whatever. And the very last thing I'll say is, Jay, to your point, as much as this roster was built for a guy like Lebby, let's not forget the Arnett year. This Mississippi State organization has gone everywhere in terms of what they want their cultural identity to be. And Lebby is not inheriting something that, in my opinion, is anywhere close to a ready product.
It's a fair point. I always forget about the Arnett year. So, Nino, go ahead.
Hey, man, Texas all the way. Come fade us again, guys. 4 straight here. Texas is going to win this game. They are going to cover this game. Doesn't matter who starts, whether it's Arch, whether it is Quinn. Texas is going to win this game. They just got too much talent. Yeah, or Nino, or Steven. Steven played a little quarterback in high school. You know what I'm saying? So, look, man.
Put Steven out there.
Texas is going to win this game pretty easy, man. They are too stacked on offense. They're way too stacked on offense. It doesn't matter who plays running back because the line is really good, right? So we've had the line, be just, outstanding here for the last couple years. So you lose CJ Baxter, doesn't matter. You got Jaden Blue. Jaden Blue doesn't play, doesn't matter. You got Trey Wiseman. Trey Wiseman doesn't play, doesn't matter. You got Gibson. Gibson doesn't play. Look, we got a guy named Colin Page who's a walk-on who rushed for 60 yards, right? So look, Texas is going to win this game. The defense is going to be very stout as well. Texas will cover this game, 37 points easy.
All right, let's move on. We got 2 spreads we're going to go through very quickly, and then we're going to go to the biggest game of the week. So next up, we're sitting with Ohio State, Michigan State. Ohio State's traveling on the road. Ohio State's a 23.5-point favorite. I'm just going ahead and be quick. I think Michigan State covers this spread only because they're at home. That's really the only reason why I'm going to pick them to cover the spread. Feels like Ohio State's just going to just chill and coast, because they don't want to put out too much energy, knowing that they've got to play a very scrappy Iowa team that's like very physical but can't play offense. Give me Michigan State covering the spread. Steven.
I actually, right there with you, Jay. Give me Michigan State to cover as well. I had Marshall last week as well covering against Ohio State, which they did. Ohio State started a little slow in some of these games. There's still, Will Howard's been good, not great to me. The run game is starting to get effective, but Jonathan Smith is doing a good job over there at Michigan State of keeping them competitive. I like what I'm seeing. Aiden Childs is going to eventually turn the ball over, but he's going to run around and have some fun in the first half. I think it'll actually be one of those games where it may even be tied at halftime or something like that before Ohio State pulls away, but I think Michigan State covers.
Ty.
Yeah, I disagree. And this is the reason why. With Iowa on the horizon, Ohio State has to figure something out. And they started to show that they were getting some semblance of that down in the second half against Marshall. I think if you're Ohio State, if you're Ryan Day, you got to show everybody this week. When we look at Michigan State, they have had a quarterback turn the ball over 7 times this year to 4 touchdowns. This Ohio State secondary is good. It's full of talent. I think they're going to benefit from some turnovers from Michigan State. I think they cover, but more than covering, I think they need to cover in this game to show, hey, we are the threat in the Big Ten and the threat to possibly win it all this year. I think it's important for them.
I like it, Nino.
Hey, I'm with Ty on this one, man. Give me yes to the Buckeyes covering this, man. First time we have a split, man. So yeah, man. Look, I love the Buckeyes in this situation, man. I think that they're going to beat the crap out of Michigan State this game, even though Michigan State has kept games close, but they haven't played anybody like Ohio State. I think they have probably one of the best offenses here in the country, even with Will Howard. I don't want to say anything bad about Howard, but they don't have that quarterback that is dynamic, but they're still putting up a ton of points on the board. I do like the Buckeyes to cover in this one.
Okay. Next game, we've got Clemson hosting Stanford cross country in an ACC matchup. Right. Still sounds weird to say out loud. Clemson is a 21.5-point favorite in this game. Look, I don't know why. I'm going to go ahead and go with Clemson. That spread is ridiculous. After what Stanford did cross country against Syracuse, there's no reason why Clemson should be this high of a favorite, which tells me I probably should go ahead and ride with Clemson. This will be Stanford's second cross-country travel, and it only makes sense. That's why they're the favorite this big. Give me Clemson to cover that spread. Stephen.
Yeah, Stanford, terrific performance against Syracuse on Friday night. They were playing opposite of that Illinois-Nebraska game, and they were able to turn over Kyle McCord a few times. But Clemson's been on fire. Cade Klubnik is looking like the guy that I thought I was going to see in that Garrett Riley offense, and we're finally seeing it. And they are running the ball. They are throwing the ball. He's been terrific. The Clemson defense has already been legit. I got them covering this as well. I really like what I've seen, even with a much improved Stanford team. I think that cross-country travel will be a factor, though, back-to-back weeks.
Ty, who you got?
Give me Clemson to cover. Y'all talked about it. The cross-country travel, that's a lot. I mean, if you just think about a business trip, coming back from going across the country and then knowing, okay, in a very short time span, I have to go back on the plane, you're already kind of tired, and you didn't play a football game. Clemson's defense is very good. The offense has been coming together. Stanford's been impressive, but the timing of this, I'd go Clemson to cover.
Oh, Nino, who you got?
Hey, they ain't fading us this week because I got Stanford covering this one. I do. They've been playing tough the entire season, keeping games close, TCU, keeping Syracuse close. I don't think Clemson's going to win by 21. I do think that they're going to win, between 10 to 14 points. I think it's going to be a slow game here, man. I like Stanford to actually, close that gap and lose about 10 to 14 points, not the full 21.
All right, next game. This is considered the game of the week by a lot of people. And in the chat, y'all told me, no, this ain't game of the week. But we're going to talk about it. Georgia, Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Right, I know, right? I don't know. They keep telling me it's not. Right now, there is Georgia open as a 2.5-point favorite, and now it is set even. They have taken it off the board. I'm not sure what news may have come down the line to knock this bad boy off, but man, I toss and turn on this game. I'm going to give the mic more so to Steve, Ty, Nino on this one, because as I look at this one top to bottom, man, I don't know. Georgia struggled against Kentucky, which Kentucky always plays them hard. I totally get that, on the road. They're back on the road now in Tuscaloosa, a very tough place to play. Kellen DeBoer seems like he's got Alabama staying in line, but Georgia still plays well enough when they want to. I mean, they destroyed Clemson to start the season. I'm struggled with this one. So I went ahead and just took the road team. I think Georgia can pull out this W. It's going to be very hard. It's going to be a very hard fought game. Nothing about either team tells me they can actually definitively win it, because I think that it's going to be a really good matchup. But I'm going to go with Georgia in this one. Steven, who you got?
This is such a good spot for Kirby Smart. When you think about all of the talk around this country, people are really high on Alabama in this game. And when some of the models have come out and, you see the models leaning 65% Bama, which, Kalen has a terrific team playing at home. Bryant Denny. I mean, there's a lot to like in this matchup, especially considering Alabama and the success that they had in the SEC championship game led by one Jalen Milroe. Georgia also has that funk of the Kentucky game that people are still kind of seeing, and we haven't seen that explosive offense from them at all. Carson Beck hasn't been near the guy he was last year when he had all those weapons. I just think that we got, this is a y'all must have forgot game for me. shout out to Roy Jones Jr. This is a y'all.
Shout out to Roy Jones, the body snatches.
I had to break out the Roy Jones for this because this man they've won 42 straight regular season games. And Kalen's won however many regular season games on his own as well. So we got winners here. I think Kirby is at a point now with Nick Saban out of the game. He's the head guy in college football right now. And then that next tier is Kalen. Dabo still got his rings. And then people like Sark and Lincoln Riley and Ryan Day who have proven to lead their programs to the playoffs, but not necessarily have won a national championship. You included Brian Kelly in that as well. I think Georgia comes up with something. I think they get something from Trevor Etienne. I think they get something in the pass game. This is a big game for Carson Beck, but probably the biggest game from an NFL standpoint for his own stock. I got to see something from Bobo. These defenses are both phenomenal. I just think that Georgia, with what they got, Malachi and those boys, how comfortable is Jalen Milroe behind that offensive line when he's under duress? How comfortable is he if the game is fully in his hands and he has to go out there and win it? I think this is going to be a very, very close game. Give me Georgia, and the y'all must have forgotten Kirby extends to 43 straight regular season games.
Ty, who you got? Well, we know who you got.
Give me Alabama, and I'm going to tell you why. Yeah, give me Alabama, and I'm going to tell you why. When you look at this game, it's kind of interesting. Jay, the only thing I can think is let me read you the injury report for Georgia, and that might be why this line has moved. Roderick Robinson, running back, out. London Humphreys, out. And he was a guy they turned to whenever they were struggling with the offense. He hasn't been their leading wide receiver. That's Arian Smith. That's Dominic Levitt. They've both been their leading guys, but Humphreys has been a spark to that offense. Tate Ratledge, probably their best offensive lineman, out. Then you look at the defensive line. Michael Williams, questionable. Sokovia White, wide receiver, questionable. Jordan Hall, defensive line, questionable. Warren Brinson, defensive line, probable. This is a defensive line for Georgia as well that hasn't been as good against the run as we all thought. When we look at rush EPA defense, Georgia's number 11 in the nation. Now, Bama hasn't been as good as we thought they'd be either. They're number 7 in the nation. When you just look at total scoring defense, Georgia comes in as the 3rd scoring defense in the nation. Alabama sitting at 6th. But Georgia's offense is 58th in the nation right now, whereas Alabama is 6th. Whenever you look at this, Alabama has the ability to get to the edge, as does Georgia. But here's the X factor. Last year, Georgia played an Alabama offensive line that went on to allow 49 sacks. That offensive line is much different this year. I saw someone in the chat talk about Alabama struggled with USF. You're not wrong. They did. Until what? They put their starting right tackle in the game, and once they did that, boom, 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 3 quick touchdowns, game was out of sight the second they adjusted their right tackle whenever he came back in the game. This Alabama offensive line has been better. Jalen Milroe is the X factor. Alabama's switching from a Stonewalls type offensive line to a pin and pull, and that's going to try and mitigate some of the spies Kirby Smart is going to use to try and account for Jalen Milroe. But even last year, in critical moments, Jalen Milroe was able to find success with his legs. He's now has a better offensive staff around him with better quarterback coaches, a better offensive line, a more healthy running back room, and a wide receiver room that to this point has been better. Give me Alabama, but give me Alabama close because Georgia should be able to run the ball, and whichever team can run and stop the other team's run will be the team that wins this game.
Nino, wrap us up. Get them.
All right, man. Tell me you guys ready. You guys ready?
Ready.
Roll. I ain't saying it. But guess what, folks? Bama's going to win the game. All right? Bama's going to win the game. I only said the Roll Tide thing because my cousins, they're all on here from Forkland, Alabama. But look here, man. Both teams have given up a lot of rushing yards this year. Bama giving up 200 yards to, South Florida. But Georgia gave up 147 yards to Kentucky. But like Ty said, the X factor is Jalen Milroe. Once Georgia stops that running game, it's going to be hard to stop Jalen Milroe when he rolls out of pocket and just makes plays with his feet. I like Alabama to win this game in Alabama. for the simple fact that they have a guy who has a Superman power playing quarterback, and Georgia doesn't have a guy who has a Superman power. Carson Beck, I don't see what all the hoopla is about Carson Beck. He's a good college quarterback. But once we're talking about a guy who might be the top pick of the draft, I do not see it. He doesn't have any X-Man powers. I like Jalen Milroe a lot in this game. I think he's going to have a big game with his legs. I think Jam Miller is going to have a huge game with his legs as well. Milroe also has talent. People are not even talking about Ryan Williams and Kedrick Law and just how explosive those guys are too. Alabama's going to do their thing in this game, folks. They are at home, and people are forgetting right now too, folks, that there's a big storm down south right now, which is going to cause it to be one of those games where it's going to be a dirty game, a run-first heavy game down there in Alabama. And I trust the legs of Jalen Milroe and company to come out and win this game. Give me Alabama.
Do you think Georgia's worried about that, though? Weather-wise, like, if they have to play that way, I feel like Georgia's more than comfortable playing.
They will be comfortable, but I tell you what, I wouldn't want that 230-pound man running out for a pass and then doing something dirty to my linebacker, right? You know, they haven't faced a Jalen Milroe. I mean, look, they got beat by Milroe last year, you know, SEC championship game, you know, and I know people want to bring up, we lost our right side.
Get back, Nino. Get back.
Get back. Yeah, they got beat on a neutral field last year. Now they're going to Tuscaloosa, to T-Town to go play. I got Alabama winning this game. I like Milroe's X factor better than I like Carson Beck's X factor. Kirby sometimes against Alabama, because he coached there for so long, he gets in his own way. And I don't know if that's because Saban was there previously and now Saban's not there, but he gets in his own way when he plays Alabama, just for the simple fact that he tries too hard. All right. I don't know if he's going to try too hard. He might be more loose today. He might be more loose this game because Saban's not there. But Saban's going to be in that stadium. I guarantee he's going to be in that stadium, y'all.
Can I say one thing before we move off of this? Yeah. BS Bank says he didn't have a good game last year. I'm going to quote a classic American literary artist, right? One of the last great literature minds in this country, and that's Dominic Toretto. It don't matter if you win by an inch or by a mile. Winning is winning. And whenever critical downs came up, Georgia had no answer. Georgia's defensive line hasn't proved to be as good this year as it was last year. Georgia's best offensive lineman is out. Jalen Milroe has better coaches around him in terms of offensive schematics this year than they had last year. It's going to be a close game, but the tide's going to roll.
Yeah, I trust Kelly DeBoer coaching Jalen Milroe more than Tommy Rees coaching Milroe on the offensive side of the ball against the Georgia defense. Just my 2 points.
All right, we got 8 minutes and we've got 4 games. We're going to fly through them in our mortal locks and give y'all the standings. Let's jump into Arizona taking on Utah. Utah's a 9.5-point favorite at the crib. I'm going to keep it simple. Arizona will no longer hurt me. I'm going with Utah. I am tired of being abused by this team. I thought that they loved me, and they did not the last time I picked them. Give me Utah, and I think Utah even covers this spread because they're going to be mad because Kansas State did it. Utah says we can do it better. Steven.
Yeah, give me Utah. They're the best team in the Big 12 right now. They showed me everything I needed to see going down to Oklahoma State last week. Kyle Whittingham and them guys, Morgan Staley on defense. It's just too much. I like Utah here.
Ty, who you got?
Utah. Kyle Whittingham. Let's roll.
Nino.
Clean sweep, come fade. It's Utah, baby.
All right. Nice and quick. Next game, we've got Penn State taking on Illinois at the crib. The Nittany Lions are a 19.5-point favorite in this game. Look, man, I guess the Kent State game told everybody that Penn State might be back, but Bowling Green State still exists in my eyes. I think Penn State wins this game, though. I think they take them on the money line. I'm not taking them on the spread, though. I think Illinois will cover this one, but give me Penn State to win. Steven.
Y'all know how much I love this Illinois team, and you got to see so much of that talent. A lot of those kids are going to play in the NFL on the defensive side. Penn State just has a little too much for them, and that's going to be real. That's a tough ask going from Lincoln, Nebraska 1 week, super emotional win in overtime, to then having to go to to Happy Valley and deal with Penn State. I think they're doing a whiteout for this game, which shows you the amount of respect that Illinois has earned. right? And I told you guys, Coach Henry on defense, that defensive coordinator, he's done a remarkable job. But Penn State, Drew Aller, they're throwing the ball downfield now. They've been much more aggressive. I like their balance. And Penn State's defense is a lot better than what Illinois saw last week against Nebraska. I think that they'll do enough. Luke Altmaier's played very, very well, but I think they'll be a lot more disruptive to Luke than Nebraska's defense was. Give me Penn State, but I think Illinois covers. That line is a little disrespectful to me.
I can totally agree with you there, Ty.
Penn State, but I don't like Penn State to cover. I think Illinois is real good, especially against the pass. I think that they're going to be able to mitigate Penn State's passing game, but at the end of the day, like Steven said, I just think Penn State, they're going to be able to pull this game out.
Nino.
Hey, come fade us again. Penn State wins this one, man. Penn State's been averaging about 255 yards rushing the game. Like Ty said, Illinois is really good against the pass, but they are, I'm not going to say that they're like a leak and sieve here when it comes to the run game, but they do give up yards here in the rushing game. I like Penn State in this game, but they don't actually get those 19 points. I see them winning by about 10 points or so.
All right, next game, we've got Oregon traveling to California, play against their old Pac-12 rival, now Big Ten rival, UCLA, right? We've got Oregon as a 25.5-point favorite on the road. That is a lot of points. This is a spread game. I'm thinking UCLA covers the spread only because Oregon, even though the bounce-back game traveling to Oregon State and that rivalry, they blew them out, that Boise State and Idaho game still stink to me, is still on them. And I think that they go out there, they win this game. They win by 21, but they don't pile on. I mean, Deshaun Foster's got to figure out something, right? Give me UCLA to cover. Steven, who you got?
I got Oregon covering this. I think they're starting to round into shape. Dylan Gabriel's putting up numbers akin to Bo Nix last year, by the way, in terms of pass efficiency and what he's doing. Those receivers are starting to get in sync. UCLA is not good. The problem is LSU plays with their food, and we know how undisciplined they've been. But we saw when LSU had the right people on the field, they got up out of there, right? And y'all know what I mean by that. But Oregon, I think Oregon covers this.
Ty, who you got?
Oregon covers this. UCLA hasn't to this point had any semblance of a running game. They have a quarterback that's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns, and Oregon is just starting to get into shape. I think they're able to stamp another big victory. I got them wrong last week. Won't happen again. Nino,
wrap us up.
Give me Oregon to cover this, man. I just think they got too much, firepower there, man. I think DG's going to be fine. I think, DG, also Evan Stewart as well, too, man. Look at them to cover this game.
All right, last game before we get our mortal locks. We've got Colorado traveling cross country to play against UCF. Right now, the UCF Knights are 14-point favorites at the crib. And look, initially looking at this, I wondered if UCF will be looking past Colorado because they're traveling to the Swamp next week in a rivalry game. And rivalry games usually can cause some problems in between if it's right behind each other. Florida's not very good. And I think UCF knows that, and they feel very confident and comfortable going in that game. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter have been elite. They have been elite. Their defense in the second half has been solid. They're not giving up a bunch of points, but UCF can run it down your throat. And that's basically what KJ Jefferson and RJ Harvey are probably going to do this game. I think UCF wins this game, and I think they actually cover the spread. It's going to be tough, but I think they actually can cover it. Steven.
I got UCF here. Look, they can't afford to look past anybody. They were down 28-7 last week against TCU and pulled out a miracle. Colorado's coming off of a miracle in their own right versus Baylor. So both of these teams are coming off of miracle comeback wins. But UCF has these triplets of KJ Jefferson, RJ Harvey, and Kobe Hudson. But RJ Harvey is I talked about Caleb Johnson earlier. Talk about Ashton Jainty at Boise State. There's some good backs in this country, and RJ Harvey is in that group. Give me UCF here winning this football game. I don't think they cover, but I think they win at the crib.
Ty, who you got?
This one kept me up. I'm going to actually go against the grain. I'm going to take Colorado. UCF, they have a lot good. Their passing efficiency defense is 79th in the nation. Like, that's one area where I think Colorado will be able to kind of get some plays going in their favor. Colorado's defense has not been good in the first half, but in the second half of games, they've actually came alive. Like, we've actually seen a Colorado defense play much better in the second half. I think that they can keep it close. Jay, I think that UCF is going to be looking at Florida next week, and that Colorado will be able to sneak a win.
Nino.
Hey, man, you guys know how I feel about this. I got family ties in this one, but I got UCF winning this game, man. Sorry, Big O. But look here, man. Why you shaking your head there, Steven?
Especially after the touchdown your cousin scored last week, which was unbelievable.
Hey, it is what it is, man. I talked to his mom after the game, too. You know, he had a great game. But UCF, man, they are ranked 6th in the country in rush defense. But like Ty said, their passing defense is not the best. But since you don't have to worry about the run against Colorado, you can concentrate more in the pass this game because Colorado does not run the ball at all. So I got UCF winning this game. It's going to be closer than expected, though. I don't look at it for 14 points. I look at it to be a little bit closer. They are playing at the crib, so give me UCF in this game. They don't overlook Colorado because Colorado, no matter what the record is, it's big time ball now. They could be, 0-4 right now, and they're going to have everybody and their mom at the game and so much TV coverage and Dion. So they don't look past Colorado. They beat Colorado, and then they go and, bum fight Florida next week.
Marion Miller, I hope you're listening to this and bump that in the locker room. Your freaking, your kinfolk don't even believe in you, bro. Even after what you did last week. Bump that in the locker room.
Bump it in the locker room. All right, we're going to wrap this up so we can get on up out of here. We've got our Mortal Locks of the week. Your boy, I'm taking Miami to win and cover. I just do not believe in Virginia Tech. They've hurt me. And when I'm hurt, I go against you for a while. I'm going to ride with Miami to cover and win this game. Who you got, Steven, for your Mortal Lock?
I'm going with a team that proved me dead wrong last week, and I was really, really impressed with what they showed me and how they proved me wrong. Give me BYU money line versus Baylor for the upset. I'm really impressed with what they did, and I think that they go. I think Baylor's broken after that Colorado game because they almost gave up 2 Hail Marys. They gave up one, but they almost gave up the other one too. The brother dropped it, but I like BYU more money line. What? No, wow, Ty. No.
Go ahead, Ty.
No, Ty.
I think we're in the same position here, Ty. Go ahead, Ty.
So here's the problem. Last week, I got the Mortal Lock pick right. I said BYU, right? So yay me, finally something went right. I'm rolling with BYU again. And for those of you watching, we do not know what each other have picked in this game. These are picks that are sent in. There's no way that we could have. Give me BYU money line. I don't like 2.5 points after what Baylor did. I don't get it. I don't understand that one at all. That seems like easy money.
Wow.
There's no way, Nino.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me, Nino.
3 out of 4. BYU beats Baylor. I swear to you. So you want to see my notes? You want to see my notes right here? Right there. BYU.
Do you realize how statistically improbable that is since we can pick any game in the nation?
Baylor. You see that?
All three?
BYU beats Baylor. Right there. It's my Mortal Lock. So BYU beats Baylor. That's my Mortal Lock, okay?
All right. Go ahead.
I got it on the notes.
What have we done?
Go ahead and show the pics on the screen because I think the funny thing to go with this is that I was actually looking at that BYU game as well. And I told myself, nah, we're not going to do this. We're not going to touch it because Baylor disappointed me. But my goodness, that is amazing that y'all all picked that game together. So, all right, we're going to wrap it up, put a bow on it. We appreciate y'all pulling up. Standings wise, pop that up real quick and we'll see who's in the lead.
Oh, no. No.
Yep. It looks like
that looks about right.
That
looks about right.
Yep. And I am at the bottom, struggling. Thank y'all for pulling up to the College Football Prediction Roundtable presented here on the Bleacher Report app. We appreciate the love. For Steven, Ty, and Nino, I am Jay. We will see you all next Friday. Y'all have a good weekend. Peace.